Hello, hello. I hope you can hear me. Let's get started. I'm Chrisia from Lightning English, and this is a lightning lesson. Today's lesson is about the tools that are available to help you with your English. So it is Grammarly and Google Translate to use or not to use. And so let us get started. I just have to move a little thing around here, and I hope you're ready. While I'm talking, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments and I will answer them at the end. And thank you for your time and thanks for being here with me here on a lightning lesson. So let's jump straight in. There are a lot of tools available to us to help with language. And two of the ones that I get asked about most commonly are Google Translate and Grammarly. So I'm going to talk to you about them a little bit today and share with you my views on them as a teacher and also as a user because I do whatever I can to help myself with Danish. I use Danish in my daily life, so I understand what it's like to feel a need for some of these tools. And I'm going to talk to you about how I think the best way is to use them so that you get the results you want, but you also get to improve your English because they're not always the same thing. Okay, so the first thing, when we're talking about using Google Translate and using Grammarly, I want to make a very important distinction because if we're talking about practice, if we're talking about doing your lightning practice activities, then this is very simple. Do not use them during practice. There is no space in your lightning practice for Grammarly or Google Translate because that actually stops you from getting the desired result. During your practice, you want to focus on flow and fluency and not perfection. You're not trying to get everything right. You're trying to get your brain thinking in English. You're trying to get the fluency. You're trying to exercise your mouth to use English. If you have to stop to look something up, that shifts your focus to being about getting it right. And it takes it away from being about just using your English, whether it's speaking or writing. When you're doing your lightning practice, you need to be using those words that are on the edge of your active vocabulary. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, next time I have my master class, The Secret to Improving Your English Vocabulary Without Studying, come and join me and I'll tell you about active and passive vocabulary and how you can work on your active vocabulary. But the reality is that if you're doing your lightning practice, your speaking and writing practice, you're going to try to use those new words that you're not quite sure if you know how to use. And if you're looking them up, then they're not at the right place in your vocabulary for you to start using them. You need to be exposed to them more before you can use them. So if you are doing your practice activities, then I suggest, not just suggest, I very strongly recommend that you do not use Google Translate or Grammarly. And if your practice activities are the reading or the listening practice, again, it doesn't help to use Google Translate to find out words that you don't know. Because the whole idea of this practice is to see the word naturally again and again and again until you understand it or hear it naturally again and again. As soon as you look it up, a couple of things happen. One is that it tells your brain that this word is important and I need to know it. Whereas that may not be the reality. If you keep reading on that same topic and that word doesn't come up again, then actually you didn't need it. So your brain thinks it's important. You go and learn that word and then you try to use it and it really doesn't fit. So once again, if you are doing your practice activities, then please do not use Google Translate and do not use Grammarly. I want you to practice without any tools. This actually lets you see what you can do. But there are other times when you need to use your English. And one of those is during performance. There are times in your life when you are not just speaking English for practice. You need to get your message across to someone else, or you need to understand what that person is saying. And it's really important that you get it right in those cases. And for that, I highly recommend you use whatever tools you have at your service. And the free tools out there that are most commonly used for this are Google Translate and Grammarly. So I'm going to show you how I think Google Translate is best used, because there are some serious problems in using Google Translate to find the word that you need. I'm just going to try and get the right screen in front of me. All sorts of crazy things are happening on my computer right now. Just bear with me for a second. And I see that we have a couple of comments. I will get to them at the end. But hello out there. I'm glad you could be here with me today. That is Pranshu and Niyati. Hi. Okay, so I'm going to just show you on my other screen one of the things that can happen when you use Google Translate. And I'm going to show you using Danish because it's the language that I've been working with the most recently, but you'll find this with every single language. The thing is, language is not one-to-one. There isn't always one translation of a sentence from one language to another. There are lots of different meanings. So, for example, in Danish, they don't have a difference between I do something and I am doing something. So, Google Translate or any translator doesn't know what you actually mean when you put it in there in Danish. Another problem is that, for example, in Russian, you don't have articles. So, they don't have the definite article in Russian. Well, when you write a sentence in Russian, how does it know whether or not it needs a definite article in English? It doesn't. So using a translator brings in a lot of the problems that you probably already have. It's not solving those problems. Those problems need to be solved with practice. And of course, I suggest the lightning practice techniques to help you with that. I'm going to give you an example. So in Danish, for example, just a minute, I'm a bit thirsty right now. Excuse me, it's getting warm and my throat gets dry really quickly. So I'm going to give you an example of, okay, I am not a coffee drinker, but a lot of people in Denmark are. So often I have to use this sentence where I say, I drink tea. And so I'm going to write it in Danish. And in Danish, it's jeg drikker te. Okay? However, if you look at this translation, it doesn't say I drink tea. It says I'm drinking tea. But as you know, I'm not drinking tea, I'm drinking water. So what happened here? Google Translate had to guess the best translation. Now, there's a feature in Google Translate which you may not know about, but if you if you click on this, it gives you other options for this sentence. This is really important. When you use Google Translate, click on the sentence and look at the other options. This will give you an idea if what you're getting translated is actually the best translation. Okay, so you could change that to I drink tea, or you could restore the original. I'm going to show you something. So I've just translated this to the English, and when I translate it back, so it has two options in English: I'm drinking tea or I drink tea. Okay, so if I put I drink tea, when I switch it around, it changes it back. So the thing is, it changes back to the one that it thinks is most common, which may not be the one that you actually need. So I just wanted to show you that example to let you see that Google Translate, although it's a good solution, it is, if you're in a performance situation, it's not the best. I really like using DeepL, or I'm not sure if it's called DeepL or DeepL. I probably should have looked that up. And I'm not being paid to push them, but this is also a free translator. But I think it's a little more robust than Google Translate, and it's used by more professionals. As you can see, when I put in that sentence in Danish, the alternatives in English, it says I drink tea, but it could also be I'm drinking tea, I'll drink tea, or I am drinking tea. So it lets you know what your options are right away. You don't have to click on it, and it gives you a lot more options because of the possibilities from the Danish to the English. Of course, this could be any language that you're dealing with. So as you can see, using a translator is more of an art than a science, because now you have to figure out which of these you actually need. and that requires that you know some English. Okay. The other tool that I wanted to talk to you about really quickly today is Grammarly. Grammarly is a wonderful tool. I love it. Um, the thing is, and of course, it's much better than the grammar checker that you already have in Word automatically. Go ahead and get Grammarly if you're using English for example, for writing work emails, for writing documents that other people are going to read. Definitely use Grammarly to check. However, it is not always right. Don't just assume because Grammarly said that it might be this that that's what it should be, because you have to use your own knowledge to decide if the suggestions that it's offering are right or not. And so, what you want to do is read what it's suggesting and then read your sentence out loud. I cannot tell you enough. And in fact, this is my biggest piece of advice to you today. You do your practice activities so that you're getting really good English input. And then when you're producing English, whether it's writing or speaking, but especially with your writing, read it out loud to see if it sounds good. You should have been doing your speaking practice, you're listening to a podcast and you're repeating and you're doing all of these things to improve your English. So read out loud and see if it sounds right. Would your podcaster, your native English speaking podcaster, say this sentence the same way? You can, if you are listening to your podcast enough, then you will very quickly get an idea of what your person would say. And that is the version that you should use. And so I want you to use the tools that you have available for writing. Um, and I just wanted to share with you, I have another lightning lesson, and it is called Practice versus Performance. And in that one, I show you the difference between practice and performance. So we are talking about performance here. For practice, you do not want to use these tools, but for performance, use what you have available. Use Google Translate or DeepL or another translator. Use Grammarly. Make sure you enable your spell check in Word and make sure that it is set for the right language, whether it's American English or British English. Be careful with adding words to that spell check because you can add the wrong spelling and then it won't see it anymore. So make sure that in your practice, it's going to improve your English over time and it will help you to fix a lot of these mistakes. And you don't need to use these tools. Instead, when you're preparing something for performance, write it without your spell check and without your grammar check and everything. Just go ahead and write it and get the flow. Then enable Grammarly or enable the spell check, and then go back and find the sentences you want to fix and use your Google Translate or your DeepL translator. Use that afterwards. First get the flow and then fix the language. First, you want to be clear on what you're saying, and then afterwards go back and fix how you're saying it. So if you want to get started with your practice, I have a link here for you. I'm going to give you 8 goal setting journal prompts if you don't have them already. It will help you to set your goals for your English and to start with your writing practice. I explain how to do your journal practice in that download. It's a free PDF if you're on my mailing list. I give these PDFs away for free to anyone on my mailing list, and you can get it at lightningenglish.com/goals. I had a couple of people in the comments. I see we have Pranshu and Niyati. You're welcome for organizing this session. As you know, I do this every week. I usually do it on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock my time, but some days, some weeks I change it. So keep an eye out, subscribe to me on YouTube, or follow me on Facebook at Lightning English, or actually on Facebook, I'm at The Real Lightning English, and you can see when I go live. Join my mailing list, and I will send you emails with great tips and tricks and things that you can do to improve your English. And I look forward to seeing you there. If you have any questions, just go ahead and drop them in the comments now. I am going to put up the link to the, we have a problem. Yeah, I'm going to put up a link to the journal prompts right here. Oh, too many windows here. There we go. So you can get the PDF here. Let me take that banner off. lightningenglish.com/goals. Go ahead and download that and get started on your goals and really thinking about your goals. Remember, you're going to do this journal practice um, without using Google Translate and without using Grammarly. I suggest that when you do your journal, you write with pen and paper. Okay. So it's been wonderful being here with you today. And I look forward to seeing you again next week for a lightning lesson. I'm Chrisia. I'll see you later.